2. We are here at Beacon House. Welcome to our business meeting. We are so happy that you are here. Welcome, 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 welcome. Today is hi, another special day where we are,
Hello, hello. Welcome to day 2 of our business meeting. I hope you had a great time yesterday. And I'm sure you learned a few things. All right? So today we need to continue from where we stopped. But more importantly, add a few things to the things we had shared yesterday. All right? So I'm just going to do a bit of a recap, some of the things we shared, especially for the benefit of those that didn't come yesterday. One of the things we shared was the importance of allowing your money to rest, right? So you may be wondering, what do you mean allowing my money to rest? So what we said was, look, because in Malawi, a lot of people are used to receiving a salary, right? And normally a salary, when it hits by the 25th, you are already spending it before, the money is already spent before it even hits the account, right? So, what I said was, look, it's the same behavior that you're going to take into your business that you need to unlearn, all right? So what does it mean to unlearn? It's things that you've been used to do and you need to help yourself to overcome. So one of the ways to overcome this problem of just spending money is by, when the money comes in, you allow it to rest. So literally, the first 24 hours, money in the account, don't even think about it. All right? Don't even, maybe on the 25th, what you should be doing is take the ATM card. The problem is you also have MO626. But take the ATM card, give it to someone else, all right? Maybe someone you trust that can keep the money safe for you. Okay. That was one of the things we learned. Another thing we learned, what else? Was about working on the business and in the business. So we also said there's a difference between working in your business and on your business. So as an entrepreneur, what you want to do is to do both. You want to work on your business because the business itself will force you to work in it. All right? Anyway, those are some of the things we talked about, but I also introduced myself, which I think it's nicer to redo it here. So I started with a background of where I'm coming from. I used to work with Standard Bank. I started my career in data, by the way, which I didn't mention yesterday. So in data, I used to work for an organization called QMO, Concern Universal Microfinance Operations. I only worked there for about 6 months. Then an opportunity came with Standard Bank, where I was meant to be trained as a money markets dealer. So while working in the money markets, a position came in a different department. So what happened was, in this particular department, it was a bureau de change department where we do forex trading and dealing and selling cash forex. The business was literally dying. In fact, I remember when I told my then boss that I want to move to this department because I was successful in the interviews, he was like, why would you want to go to the armpit of the bank? Do you understand? The armpit of the bank. What does the armpit do? It sweats, stinks. If you don't shave it, it's a problem. Right? This was that kind of armpit. Then they're like, I was in one of the best departments in Standard Bank. Best in the sense that for those that work in banks or in departments or companies that work with bonuses at the end of the year, this is the department that got the most bonuses. So it was one of the best departments. Now I'm moving to the bureau, and they're telling me, in fact, what you don't know is, Exco right now is discussing of ways to just cut off this thing and cut their losses because they are making so many losses. Then I'm there like, should I not? Should I not? Anyway, I spoke to my mentor at the time, and he was like, look, you need to challenge yourself. Life is all about taking challenges and new opportunities, all right? Then we went. I went there, started month 1. Things were not looking good. Month 2, my God, I started regretting. Month 3, all my strategies are not working. I'm like, why did I even come here in the first place? A few months down the line, then I thought of an idea that actually turned things around. When we started that department, the capital base, when you talk about capital base, right, this is what the bank had decided to give to this department because it was supposed to be a standalone company, even though it was under the bank. That's how any bureau de change works, by the way. They are given a capital to work with. And the capital they had at the time was like 100 million. By the time I was done, like in 3 years, that capital had moved to 3 billion and making over $1 million in revenue. Then Mukuru came knocking on the door. The Mukuru story also is fascinating because I was a young boy. Like, I hadn't turned 27 yet. I was actually 26, turning 27 that year. I was quite young. And then I was meant to go and start leading people that were older than me. In fact, everyone in the team, except maybe 2 people, were older than me. And I was there like, what am I going to do with all these people, you know? And I was given the mandate to actually grow the organization. It's not even the department. This is now a whole people. And you're thinking, that person's son or daughter is actually depending on me to ensure that this organization survives in this country. Do you get? Short story, the organization grew. I mean, you can see Mukuru where it is right now. We established as many outlets, as many employees, making over 15 billion worth of transactions every month. Then I moved to Betway. At the time, I think most of the people knew if you talked about betting, all you knew was Premier Bet. Then I came into the scene, I changed a few things on the market. And I mean, I don't know, right now, I'm sure, if you do anything betting, which I would discourage you, but if you do, there's Betway for it, all right? So anyway, my name is Charles Piri, and I'm your host for tonight, all right? Cool. So let's kick things off with some of the questions that I got yesterday, or rather today. So the way I want to do the session is a bit different from yesterday. So yesterday we did a lot of question and answer right in the audience. So what I'm going to do is, for the first part of the session, we will do the Q&As based on what you sent. And then the last part of the session, I'll take questions. But also, if you want to add a question based on the questions that I'll be responding to, you're more than welcome. All right? I'm not sure if media, you can help us with the first question, which I want to open with. It's from Christian. Yeah, Christian is asking, is starting and owning a business really something anyone can do? What books about businesses impacted you the most? Where's my question? And what would you recommend for a person who wants to learn how to start and run a business? And then there's also another question by Wellington, which is somewhat related. Can you please put that for me? Oh, I could read it as we wait. Anyway, Wellington's question is simple. How do you fund a big dream like owning a company ablaze while still young? He says, how do you fund a big dream of owning a big company while you're still young. And why I wanted to start from here, I think it helps us because it sets the tone for the meeting, all right? And I mean, most of us have that kind of question. Firstly, maybe right now you're struggling and you're asking yourself, am I really supposed to be doing business? Is business for me? Or maybe entrepreneurship is not for everyone. All right? How many think entrepreneurship is for everyone? So some of you actually think it's not for everyone. All of you actually, because it's only 3 people. I also think it's not for everyone. All right? But that doesn't mean it's because of the person's IQ or abilities in a certain sense. Okay? You're not talking about you can't be an entrepreneur because you don't have a certain degree. No. Or you can't do entrepreneurship or you can't own a business because you don't have a certain amount of money. No, that's not it. But one of the reasons it's not for everyone is to do with your personality. Okay? If your personality cannot take disappointment, business may not be for you. I'll let that sink. I said, if your personality cannot take in disappointment, please stay away from it. Why am I saying so? It's because, look, when it comes to business, there are no guarantees of profit. There are no guarantees that the money you put in is going to come back. It doesn't matter how good the business opportunity looks. Every business opportunity has its own risk. All right? You can either make a profit or make a what? A loss. Okay, what happens when you make a loss? You lose your money. All right? So if you are, guess what will happen? Month number 1, you are so excited about your business. You borrow $1 million kwacha from God knows who. And you'll be like, you know what? I'm going to put this in this, let's say Chiwaya business. You know, on this particular road, you know Chiwaya, just for the benefit of maybe people online, it's these street chips, right, that we sell here in Malawi. Let's say you have a street business that you want to be doing, and you actually think this street close by is definitely the right place because it's got the right traffic. So you take all your money, you put into that business, and you're hoping for the best. Then month number 1 comes. You make 50,000, and you are shocked. How is that even possible? I mean, I make like, you even think the one who is selling the chihuahua for you is the one stealing money from you. Do you quit because you made a loss in the first month? Absolutely no. When you think about all the successful businesses today, did you know they all made losses for years? I don't know if you can find for me, but just Google your top 5 companies you know. Let's start with Amazon. How long did Amazon, you know Amazon? How long did Amazon make losses before they actually made the first profit? Just find out that for me. How long did it take? 7 to 9 years. Okay, can your heart take losses for 7 to 9 years? If your heart can't take it. You see, so you need a lot of courage, all right? You need that sort of courage where people will deny you. People will say a lot of things about you. People will say, look at him, he's trying this, that idea, and he actually thinks he'll make it work. You know, Malawi is so small. Right now, if I post something on the social media, you go to Blantyre, you'll be shocked by the number of people that would know about that story. Right? The day you start your business and you start making a lot of noise about it, guess what will happen? Everyone will know. Okay, when everyone knows, guess what happens when you fail? Everyone knows. Which means it takes a lot of courage to actually start something. All right? So, When Christian and Wellington are asking, is it for everyone? The simple answer is no. But to be honest, you can actually do it. Because what you need is not something you need to start with money. All you need is courage. All right? You just need, guess what? Are we all born courageous? No. Do you know you're neither born courageous nor fearful? Like someone actually teaches you. Have you seen a child? You throw them in the air. Are they afraid? No. If we put you even on a roller coaster, with proper belts like tied, you will be so afraid, like you'll be crying, you know? But a child, you throw them in the air, they are not afraid. They'll tell you again, like again. You need to have that same kind of attitude. You put in your money, it fails, you tell yourself again. All right? Because you need that courage. You need that resilience. Otherwise, they know, maybe just go and start applying for jobs. But even the jobs, you get a lot of no's. Okay, how many people have applied for jobs this month and have received no's? You see? Which means even in the job sector, there are so many we regret. Okay, so whether you try a job or whether you try a business, there are still regrets, right? So just go try. So, in as much as the answer is not for everyone, but in the true sense of it, I think everyone can actually be an entrepreneur. You just need these traits. Okay? So, courage, resilience. Another thing you need is patience. Because all these things can't happen without patience. You put money today. Do you know why betting is so prominent, especially in this country? Because people want quick results. They want to put 1,000 watt and get what? 10 million. They say the odds were like 1,000. Okay, if someone tells you the odds are thousands, is it something to put your money on? No, like for real, think about it. If someone says the probability of this thing happening is 1 to 1,000, do you now take your money and put in the thing? Do you see how crazy betting is? But business is not betting. But guess what? A lot of people want to use the business as a betting opportunity. It's why anything that looks like it will give you a quick return, guess what will happen? People flock to it. It's why Ponzi schemes always work. Because people always want to try something that will give them money now, today. They don't want to wait Amazon waited for 7 years. What other company? Airbnb, Uber. Well, I don't know about most of the Malawian businesses because we don't have it you just can't look it up. But if you look at all the companies, whether in South Africa, here in Malawi, in the US, or the big companies, they don't just start today and make profit tomorrow. Because every business needs to be built. Okay, if you have a child today, right? At what point is the child going to give you back support? Assuming they're ever going to give you support. But you see that from the day they are born to probably 18 or 20, if it's in Malawi, it can even be 25 or 30. The child is still dependent on the parent. You need the same kind of patience with your business. You can't just say, okay, you know what, I've been doing this business for 2 months and then I'm done. It's not working. Who told you it's not working? Maybe it's the little patience for an extra month that you needed to break through. Right? Maybe if you had just done it for another 6 months, the right investor was going to come and give you the money you needed to expand. You see? So you need a lot of patience. All right. I looked up some stats. If you can just check some stats, why it's important to try these businesses. Did you know that our economies whether in Malawi, South Africa, Africa in general, or the US. I'm using those examples because they're familiar for us. Did you know that these economies are actually run by small businesses? Did you know that? Can I have my stats? Okay, I can just read it. Okay, yeah, there we go. Full screen, please. Great. Look at this. In the United States, 36 million. There are over 36 million businesses, small businesses in the US, which makes about 99.9%, which means your Apple, your Google, your Amazon, they are just 1%, actually 0.1% of the businesses in the US. And then look at that. They make 43.5% of the GDP. What is GDP? In simple terms, it's the money, the economy, like Malawi. Think about it. You as a person, right? You can make, let's say, 1 million a month, right? Malawi as a nation can make X amount of money per month or per year, because GDP is measured in a year, all right? In the US, the amount of money that actually is made by the nation, the economy, 44% of it comes from small businesses. That's why you need to push your dream. Anyway, I'll get to Malawi. But you look at this, 46% of the jobs in the private sector, this is excluding government, they come from small businesses. It's amazing. And this is the great United States of America. Every month, this is according to a study in 2025, you have over 470,000 new businesses being formed. Which means there's a lot of them dying too. Right? But it shows you that it's actually a possibility because, look, people are trying. We need to try. You need to go and try something, all right? Of course, the average age there is 45. I don't understand why, but I guess it's also the population. You should see what Malawi looks like. Okay, let's move to Africa in general. In Africa, we have over 44 million businesses across the continent. Small businesses. 95%, they are all African firms, which means that it's not people from America investing in Africa. These are actually African people starting African businesses. And then 70 to 80% of the jobs in Africa, they are from SMEs. Can you imagine? Then over $330 billion. The finance gap is over $330 billion. So what finance gap means is what the SMEs want to be able to scale versus what they actually get. That gap is $330 billion. Do you see the business opportunity there? Which means if you can be a money lender in this part of the world, you are in business. And then under 20% of African SMEs, they can access formal financing. This is one of the biggest challenges, not just in Malawi, in Africa in general. We have a big financing problem. Okay, let's move on. South Africa, just right here, 2 hours away. We have, according to a survey in 2018, there is about 6 million businesses. 6 million businesses in South Africa, which form about 40 to 50% of the national GDP. So when you look at South Africa, don't think of the big companies you see. It's actually small companies that are driving that economy. And then 87% of the people are employed by these businesses. This is the stat that is discouraging, and why I said you need to be courageous. Because almost 4 out of 5 businesses, they will fail. Which means, do you know what that means? If yours fails, are you the first? You better go try again. Right? Because you are not the first. Neither are you going to be the last. In fact, there's what it's called a survival bias, which just means that if you can just survive these first 5 years, I'm telling you, you are about to hit something which not everyone can be able to meet. All right? And then 5 in 7, they fail in the first year of trading. But you know one of the reasons they fail in the first year of trading? Number one problem is a cash flow problem. What do I mean cash flow? People just don't know how to manage money in their businesses. If they are the entrepreneur and they are not working, guess what will happen? They will eat everything is a salary. If they make 10 million that month, they will make purchases with what? 10 million. If they make 2, they'll make purchases with what? 2 million. The business is the one that drives the livelihood. Okay, let's look what's in our home country. Malawi. This is a 2019. So one of the other big problems in Malawi is you don't have a lot of stats to work with. So this is 2019, but I can guarantee you these numbers are already bigger in this year, because this is like 7 years ago. Did you know that there is over 1.6 million businesses in Malawi? Small businesses. Probably the ones you know are just Sana, Chipiku, Standard Bank, National Bank, your big guys, huh? But there's actually over 1.6 million businesses, which make 40% of our national GDP. I want you to think about it. Like 40% of the national GDP comes from small businesses. And they are not even formally registered. Over 90%. Which means the people that are driving this economy don't even know a thing about tax. They don't know a thing about cash flow management. They don't know a thing about even probably having a bank account. Because if you're not registered, okay, how are you going to open a bank account for the business? You're not going to. Which means these people are using their personal accounts for business. Guess what will happen? The business is not going to grow because they are eating as the business is what? Is growing. The interesting thing in Malawi is that 42% of these businesses, they are owned by young people, 35 and below. It means I don't qualify because I'm turning 37 this year. But guess what? A lot of young people are trying, which is why you need to be courageous. We need this number to get to even like 80%. All right? Because the young people are trying. Because your heart can take it. Right? Because you can take the risk. You know, they say life begins at 40, right? If you are 25, you have 15 years before life begins. Which means you can actually, year number 1, you try a new business, it fails, you move to another one. You have 14 more years to try. I think one is going to work, right? And then most of our business are in the agricultural sector. I mean, which makes a lot of sense because we're an agrarian economy. But do you know, it means those other sectors, there's a lot of opportunity. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. How many banks are in Malawi? 6. How many SACCOs or small micro-lending are in Malawi? I think last I checked, there was like about, I don't know, the most active ones are like 30 or 40, which is small when you think about it. Because other countries have hundreds of banks, thousands of these microfinances, and it's why funding or financing is a big problem. Because, I mean, think about it. If I own a bank, right, do I have to compete in this economy? Like, do I have to try hard? If there's 6 banks in Malawi with 20 million people, I don't have to try hard. Take the same thing, go to South Africa. Then you realize that competition is a real thing. All right? Why? Because There's so many businesses, there's so many people that are trying. For those that have traveled, if you go to South Africa, you see almost at every corner loans. You can loans maybe like 1,000 to 2,000 rand. Pay the loans, things like those, which means there's actually a lot of such kind of activities. Here in Malawi, you don't even see such kind of posts. Do you? Not so much. So, this was just to answer the questions by Christian and Wellington to say, is business for everyone? The simple answer is no. But truthfully, I think everyone can do it. You just need to grow these qualities in you. You need to be patient. You need to be resilient. You need to be courageous. And then you need to be one who is studious. What do I mean by studious? You need to read a lot, especially coming from this side of the world. Do you know that in Malawi we are behind in a lot of things? Do you know that? We are so behind in many things. Right now, our streets are not even named. Just go to our neighboring countries. They have streets, they have roads, they have actually taxis that work. Does that make sense? So, it's why you need to be someone. What does that mean? It means anytime you read a bit, you distinguish yourself from the next person. Anytime you get more information, you become better than the average Malawian. All right? Because anytime you are accessing information, you are making yourself better and better and better. And to be a very good businessman, you actually need to be studious. Study a lot, read a lot, research a lot, watch a lot of videos on YouTube. Don't use your YouTube just for watching music videos or highlights of football or basketball, depending on what you like. There's a lot of content there. Do you know you can create businesses from those YouTube videos? It is possible. Okay. Are we good? Any questions pertaining this? Or comments? You are welcome. All right, let's move on. Next question. James Chiuti asked, I want to start a business and I would like to call it CIM. I want CIM to focus on selling meat. How do I know I've done enough research before I start? Do I just start and let the business teach me how it works? Or do I have to be 100% fully knowledgeable on what I could make it into? Once I start, what can I do to make sure that I do not face issues like accusation of stolen goats procured? When I grow big, how do I make sure that people bring to sell their goods to us rather than us going to find people in their many locations? After I start observing gains. As I save, how do I know that I need a manager and that I can venture into a different dream or goal? I'm also currently a student at Bunda doing my attachments in Kasungu. I would like to start now here in Kasungu. Am I being hasty? Should I slow down until I finish school to start? Or should I press on? And wait to cross that bridge when you get to it. That's a good one. That's a good one. So, I want to use this opportunity to, as I'm answering this question, to ask about when do you actually start a business? I think it's a very good question. When do you actually start a business? Is it the day you go open a shop? Is it the day you have 100 million kwajas capital? Is it the day you have a customer who is willing to buy? When do you start? Hey, Chris, when did you start?
The day I made my first sale.
The day you made your first sale?
Yes.
That's when you started your business. Beautiful. Ace, Lori.
The day I started working on the idea.
The day you started working on the idea. That's when you started the business.
Yes.
Really? Beautiful. So, I think, look, just looking at those answers, right, will give you an idea as to how people perceive when a business has started. Others think a business starts the day they make their sale. Others think the business starts the day they have started working on their idea. Which means, to the one person, they're a businessman the day they have sold. To another person, they're a businessman the day they have thought about the idea. Do you know that those two different perspectives will give you different results? Because as for Chris, who is waiting for him to make their first sale, if you take them 3 years, they'll not be regarding themselves as a businessman. Guess what? They will not read about business. They will not be bothered about attending a conference like this because they're like, okay, you know what? I'll attend a conference or attend a meeting about business the day I what? I make my first sale. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean he's wrong. I'm just saying perspectives are different and the perspective matters, right? What I want to suggest though, and in answering James's question, there's no such thing as I am fully prepared for the business. There's no business in this world that you can fully research and fully know everything about before you venture into. It is not possible. It's like you should be saying, the day I'll understand people is the day that I'll start my business. Are you going to ever understand human beings? It is not going to work. All right. So, to his question, firstly, he's asking, I'm glad that he's not asking whether the idea is good or not. All right? Because whether an idea is good or not is whether you can do it or not. Don't let anyone tell you your idea is not good enough. If you think it is good enough, it is good enough. All right? Okay, think about it this way. You know, right now there's AI, right? Do you know that 4 years ago, when AI was coming, the first person that thought about it, people would have told them you are crazy. It's not possible for a computer to have all that power and tell you what you think it can tell you. What I mean by AI, I mean if you just go into ChatGPT, like so many AI nowadays, right? When you think about it, the day some of those ideas started, they were crazy, too crazy. Okay. The day an idea about electric vehicles started, do you think everyone welcomed it? No. Because people thought cars must be what? Fueled. A car can't move without diesel. A car can't move without petrol. What are you saying? Electric vehicle. But guess what? Now it's so common. In other countries, you see electric vehicles everywhere. I've seen in Malawi, I think just right here, they are selling electric vehicles just down the road, which is a first. Imagine someone who would have been told you can't sell electric vehicles in Malawi. If you can make the idea work, it is good enough. All right? So, back to answering James's question. He's saying, let me just read it again. Do you just start or do you research? Or how do you know that you're ready? I think once you have an idea, you definitely need to work through the idea first before you can even go to market. All right? I mean, I'll just answer briefly here, but I can tell you that there's so many things that you need to learn. So one of them, it's why you have business plans, right? Like you need to think about, okay, how are you going to sell what you want to sell? Who are the people that you're going to sell to? Do you have enough people? You know, it's one thing to think the thing can sell. It's another thing to actually really sell. Okay? You can actually think, let me give a very good example. If I knew that there's this meeting, right? I could have, let's say, put, I don't know, something to sell outside there. Let's say drinks. In my mind, I'm thinking there's going to be about 100 people gathered in there. Therefore, I'm going to what? I'm going to sell. But is it true that everyone that walks in will be able to buy? No. The information you need is what will make people to buy. Do actually people, when people go into that building, when they're coming out, do they even want to buy? Do they have the money to buy? Are they the kind of people that will actually consume the drinks I want to sell? That is the kind of research you need to do basically, which means you need to know who are the people you're going to sell to. What product do they even, outside what you want to sell, what else do they actually like to eat? Like in this case, you're talking about goat meat, right? Is that area good enough for goat meat? Do they have enough goats to sell to you? Are the people liquid enough? Do they have money to actually go buy meat from you? You can't assume they have. Now, in as much as you want to spend your time asking those questions, you will not be able to answer every question, which means there's a minimum information you want to work with. Once you get that information, you need to move. All right? Guess what happens? Every business, you know more information once you enter it. Which means the sooner you enter, the better the research. The cheaper. It's like you're paying school fees. You know school fees is expensive. Do you know that? Like every school fees is actually expensive. The advantage is you pay it once. Whether you repeat, you still pay it once. Once you pay that school fees, you are gone. Okay. Most of you here are students. Or some of you are students. Some of you have actually gone through the college, right? When that school fees was paid, do you have to pay for it again now? No. You only had to pay school fees for 4 years. And the rest of the years, you're using that information. You have become the person you have become. It's why it's very important. It doesn't matter whether a business fails or succeeds. All the lessons you are getting, as long as you are doing the business, they are very important. All right? So, James, you definitely need to start. Try and get as much information. The good thing is, some of those businesses, the risk associated is minimal. What do I mean? You buy 2 goats, you try it out. How much do you lose? Right? Whether you're a student or not, even if you lost 500,000 kwacha, you'll be able to recover. All right? It's not like that would dent your whole life. Correct? So what you want to do is go try. As you're trying, look, my friend Rollins and I, we started a farm in 2018. How many acres was 1 acre? In case you didn't know, we started the business with 1 acre. Right now we are at, the plantation alone is around 10 hectares. The whole land is about 15, 16 hectares. When we started with our own money from our pocket. We have never borrowed from any bank. Every penny we spent there, all the mistakes we made. Do you know where we started this 1 acre? Do you know what is there now? There's a dam. There's not even plantation because we chose the wrong land to plant our thing. It was nice school fees to pay. Because we would never make that mistake again. Do you get? And again, we made that mistake on 1 acre. Imagine if we made that mistake on 9 hectares. It would have been so costly. When we started, and I just want to use this opportunity. When we started, I was working, he was working. We would put the money from our pockets. Save from our pockets. Save, put in, buy land. At the time, right now, our biggest regret is we should have bought more land. Oh my God. Because right now, 1 acre is about what? 3 million? 2.5? about 2.5 million. That time, 1 acre was like 300,000. And we were like, you know what, we're going to buy in the future. The future has come. But it's why I'm saying you just need to start. Imagine if we waited for the day we had more money. It wouldn't have worked. Guess what? Over time, we've been building that business slowly from our own pocket, from our own pocket, from our own pocket. Just this year, we made a land valuation. We were like, you know what? We want to know how much have we actually, maybe at least we can console ourselves. How much have we actually done? You know? We were shocked because the land valuer told us this business is worth over 500 million. We never borrowed not even a kwacha from anyone. Small change from our pocket we put. For 6 years, we were putting. So right now, even if someone wanted to give us money, it would be at our own terms, right? Because we can actually tell them, look, we've built this thing for 7 years with our own money. You can't change, you cannot tell us what to do, right? It's too late. Does that make sense? It's why I'm saying just go out and start. Try it out. Take the money that's in your pocket, you put it in there. Yes, you're going to, do you know the number of times we felt like, oh my gosh, it's too much. We can't do this anymore. The sacrifices that it took. There was a time I had an opportunity to buy a car from our office. I took that car, gave it to the farm, and I was working. Yes, using a minibus. Because the business had to grow. Those are the sacrifices you need. And if you're not ready for those sacrifices, please stay in your job. Because your business is going to require those sacrifices. But why am I bringing this story? It's so that you can understand that it's a journey. All right? And that journey is going to require a lot. Are you telling me that we could have known all these things by a research? Not possible. We couldn't have known. Even if we stayed, we could have wasted 3 years and still came back and still lost money. The only difference would have been 3 years late. Does that make sense? So what you want to do is, it doesn't matter how small that idea is. You try it. Because as you try, as you keep on putting in money, there are so many lessons that you're going to be getting. All right? I don't know if I've fully answered that question. Let me see. Yeah, anyway, pretty much. Yes, Yux. I was also going to say we can take questions from here now.
Hi, everybody. My name is Yukari. I'm in the pastry business. I make cakes, breads, donuts. My question is, you mentioned that in response to his question that the best thing to do is to think a bit about the business and then start, not take too much time. I, on the other hand, I knew how to bake. Someone needed a cake for their aunt. They were willing to pay. After they paid, I said, I think I'm going to start a business. So I did not do too much thinking. Now I'm like a year or two after, and I'm now having to do the thinking in between. What balance do I need to still stay in the business, keep learning the lessons, but I still need to catch up because I entered the business without having fully thought out the idea?
Great. Thanks, Yukari, for that. And I think it's a problem that a lot of people actually face, not just entrepreneurs like you, even big businesses. I can tell you of businesses that have come to Malawi, big brands. They see the opportunity, they quickly roll out, then they realize we can't survive or we can't do this. Then guess what? They start unwinding. They start wanting to move out of the country because they're like, it's not worth investing the money for. So I think that is a genuine problem. How do you resolve it? If you're already in this situation, it means you just need to work harder to learn your business faster. So, remember what we talked about working in and on your business. The fact that you've gotten yourself a client from day one just means that you've pushed yourself into working in your business before you start working on your business. Guess what will happen? If you don't take time to work on your business, you're going to be overrun. You're going to burn out. Or soon something is going to break. It can be having too many clients and then the clients are dissatisfied because you just can't deliver. Or the quality starts lagging because if you can make one cake, it's perfect. But by the time you have 10 cakes, you are tired. Do you get? Which means that working on the business is what you actually now need. You actually need to spend a whole lot of time learning about cakes, going through courses. Because at that point, it was a hobby, but now you're turning it into a business. All right? Because hobbies and businesses are not the same thing. Like I said yesterday, you can turn your talent, your hobby, into a business. But there's a way you have to manage a business. Okay? Which means you have to start putting your records. You have to start using systems. You have to bring in someone to help you. You know? Like you have to have maybe someone you use to deliver your things. Or have someone who can help you doing the baking. You know? All those kind of things. Yeah. So, once you are in the problem, you need to spend more of the time thinking about the solutions to the problem. Otherwise, if you just keep going, it's just a matter of time before you burn out and stop. You just stop. You just be like, you know what? It doesn't matter whether it's profitable or not. I'm tired. I'm done. And that happens to a lot of people. Okay. I hope that answers the question. Cool. Any other questions? Or rather, now I can take questions from the audience. Yes.
Hi everyone, my name is Waliko. I do on Swift Text Consulting. So my company is basically a New York company, but I've been trying to incorporate it into a financing company in Malawi, like a takeout company in Malawi. So I did email like the Reserve Bank of Malawi maybe like 3 months ago, and I couldn't get any response because I just wanted to make it a takeout where I can just like lend people money. So, and I also do, I do have access to Forex, and I have turned that where I do whoever like I do, let me say like, whoever wants to buy a car, and I can buy a car for you, and then you give me the kwaja. That's something that I do. So it's like 3 things like involved at the same time. And my question is, how do you incorporate where you like trying to, maybe I'm doing like a lot of things at once, because it's just me in the company, I don't have like anybody else. And how do you also incorporate where like you have, you're trying to turn it into a microfinancing company in Malawi, and then there's like a lot of regulation and rules, and you just don't know where to start from, because I have no idea how to do it.
Awesome. I think that's a brilliant question. Thanks, Waliko. Interestingly, that's something I've been working on for a while now. Because, so regulatory research, I mean, I've helped a couple of companies just get into Malawi, get the regulatory approvals, do all these things that you're talking about. So we can talk about that later. But in general, countries like Malawi have an institutional problem. So this is not just a Malawi problem, by the way. Even in South Africa, to get a license, I read a book, this other book, there's a bank, an online bank in South Africa called GoTime. They said for them to get a South African banking license, it took them about 3 years to just get the license. 3 years to get a license. And that's the kind of problem. It's not just a Malawi issue, it's usually in Africa. So what you want to do, I think there are 2 ways. Like you're saying, you want to work with someone who already has a license. So it means it's direct discussions, especially where you want, because some of the problems come in when you already have a client, but the client wants you to be regulated, as an example, right? Because not every client may want you to be regulated. But other clients will be like, look, unless we see your license, we are not doing business with you. At that point, the best you can do is not to try and register, because you can't fast track the process. It doesn't matter what you do. There's no bribe in that system, I can promise you. Because especially for financial institutions, they put that intentionally. The background checks. Because remember, there's issues to do with money laundering, terrorist financing, and all these things. So the reason they take time is because they're doing all these background checks. But obviously, yes, some slowness is just part of the problem. So what I'm saying is, do your research about companies that, not big companies. Because if you go to a bank and say, I want to partner with you, they won't even look at you. But look at companies that are just upcoming, right? That already have that license. And they want to make a name. And they want to get as many customers. So if they add this as a product or a service offering on their platform, it already increases, their visibility like that. So look for such kind of companies. Then it will be an easy one. Then once your business starts growing, you make it clear also that the kind of agreement you want to have is a partnership in the beginning, after which, once you get your own license, you want to move on. I can give you a very good example. Mukulu had a license, a regulated license, but they couldn't do certain transactions because they needed an additional license. And this is a big company. Guess what they did? They partnered. They partnered with Forex bureaus, they partnered with PAPE, they partnered with a lot of people who already had the jurisdiction, the license to perform the business. Okay? Then, that helped them, because even by the time you're applying, while you already have these outlets, guess what? It will be so easy for you to put out your own outlets because you've already tested the idea. It's also safe, because you're not having to pay all these license fees, go through this licensing hurdle, and then all of a sudden, the business should fail. Yeah, so I would direct you towards getting someone who is already licensed, or a company that is already doing those things in Malawi, or potentially can do those things in Malawi. Partner with them, discuss with them. Now, because you are the only person, again, like I said, they may not be able to accommodate you. So what you want to do is have someone who can even represent you in that sense. So I've seen companies, because they are from outside the country, for instance, they'll have a consultant in Malawi, like myself, for instance, make me a director, because they know that I know the people that I need to talk to. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that is an easy way of entering any country. You use the people that are already familiar with the systems. Does that help? Awesome. Yes, Eunice.
Hi, everybody. I'm Eunice. I had sent my question, so I just want to read it out. In the first year of building a business, what should be at the very top of the founders or the one in charge's priority list? Considering the conversation we had yesterday of how you've grown the business and you've taken it almost from zero or negative, and then you increased. And also adding on to that, what structures, habits should actually be put in place for sustainable growth? Thanks.
So, first thing on the founder's mind, I think you can hide that. Every founder, remember, the business depends on you, and it takes on you as a person. So one thing I would advise is you need to read a lot of stories, founder stories. Just read about how people have actually struggled to build the businesses you see. You see, the challenge we have, especially this side of the world, we don't have a lot of stories we can look to. Look at Malawi. How many businesses can you actually look to and be inspired about? Okay, forget about Dr. Mpinganjira. Who else can you think about? Not many. Sparks. Who else can you think about? Bushiri, okay. Who else can you think about? Like the fact that you have to think about the names is a problem. So in Malawi, we don't have such kind of stories that we can read, get inspired with, or get lessons from. There isn't a lot of such kind of stories, which also means that you start something and you feel like you are the only person doing it. And guess what? You'll be asking yourself a lot of questions. Am I the right person doing this? Maybe it should have been that person. Am I even thinking I would make it? And then many voices will come into your head. Do you actually think you can do it? What makes you think you can do it? No one in your family has ever done it. You think you can succeed? Just focus on the job. You know, all those kind of things. So, as a founder, you need to protect yourself by reading all these things. Go watch stuff. There's a series on YouTube that I remember we watched back in the days called Men Who Built America. You can find it there. Go watch it. It's inspiring. It tells you how America was built. Do you know America was built by men? Single-handedly. Businessmen. One man built the whole railway station, like roads, all over the whole country. Built by one person. Steel was done by another person. Oil was done by another. This idea of putting oil in tunnels, like what we're doing right now in the world, was started by these people in America. Like, go read, listen to, watch those stories, read a lot of books. Like, I love to read a lot of biographies. Just reading a lot of stuff about people that have built things. One of the things I inspire myself to do is this funding thing, right? Because financing is a big problem in Malawi. I want to be able to have, when we have a meeting like this, at the end of it, I should be able to say, you know what, I have $1 million to give out. How many? Can I hear some ideas? Do you get? Because we create that platform. But right now, you don't hear about it. Not so many. People have tried, but it's not as common. So what I'm doing now is to read a lot of those kind of stories, those kind of books. Because a founder, yes, you need a lot of inspiration. Because the day you don't feel like doing it, guess you can't have anyone to encourage you, right? You need to find ways to encourage yourself. Yeah. So that answers question number one. Number two, in terms of structures and systems that you need, look, in the beginning, you need the idea to work. Go make it work. Try anything and everything. Forget about structure and systems. Do you know structures and systems come only when you are, like almost in every organization, you start putting in structures when the money is really there. Okay, of what use is a structure when there's no money? You tell me. Okay, let me say, but some businesses, they do need a structure. Example, you can't start a financial institution without a structure. Even the licensing body or authority will ask you, can we see your structure? Who are the people that will run this thing? Because you have a fiduciary duty, just the responsibility of handling other people's money, right? And you need to demonstrate that ability. But what we are talking about here is not that. So you don't even overthink this thing to say, you know what, before I start, I need to open a bank account or I need to register the company. Okay, what name should I call it? E&E Incorporated. Do you get? And then, okay, who are the directors? I'm going to appoint 3 directors. Okay, the shareholding, you know what? I'll give myself 90%, one director 5%, another director 5%. Those things don't actually matter in the beginning. It took us about 5 years before we actually registered the firm as a limited company. Because the other years, we were just trying things. We tried the first one, it didn't work. We abolished the thing. Tried again. Worked a bit. Moved again. You know, those kind of things. Like we've tried again and again. The first time we tried, we bought suckers. Oh, by the way, we do banana farming. We bought suckers right here in Malawi. Miserable decision. Terrible. Because the thing didn't work. We didn't even do enough research to actually realize that we're inheriting a problem. You see, But guess what? Because we were just wanting to start, we learned a lot. It was only from there that we were like, okay, let's do a bit more research. Why does this thing? How long did it take us for us to see our first fruit? 14 months, which is wrong for a banana. When we changed the planting, we took it out and started again. It took us barely 8 months to have results. You see? But if we had started with structure, even then, at least now you know that, for a lot of people actually that know us, they don't even know that I'm involved in the business like that, because the CEO is Lawrence. That structure only came later. In the beginning, there was no such thing. We were just like, we are partners, we do this thing. I don't even know how much money I put against what he put, because that is the kind of agreement we had. Now, I'm not saying that, don't try this at home. But I'm just trying to show you that structure sometimes is not necessarily what you need, especially if you are the only person running the business. Just start, try. So now, remember there's working in your business and on your business. On the working on your business in the behind, what you want to do now is to start putting in these structures. You know, these structures. Right now, I already have a structure of how my bank should look like. My microfinance should look like. It's not like I'm going to be surprised. If today I say, okay, you know what, I'm going to go do the application. Actually, I'm ready to start that application today. Because I already know what it requires. I already know how I want that to be, structured. The policy documents, I've already created them. I've already sense-checked them against the right people that need to sense-check them. Does that make sense? Because the business needs it. But the day I'm running a shop in Kanengo, why do I need a structure? Dude, try. Make some money, then come back and be like, okay, you know what? Let's put some structure into this thing. But like I said, some businesses do actually need a structure. So depending on the kind of business you're doing, I think just go all in. All right. Another question. Yes. Can we have a mic here?
All right, I just want to add something. So my name is Rollins. Charles is my friend and my brother. We've been doing so many stuff together. I wanted to add something on the question you asked about the founder and what you need to do and all that. I wanted to add that business is a tribe. Maybe a tribe is small, but it's a world. It has language. So think of it like if you go to any other country and you don't know the language, you know how lost you can get, right? They're speaking something and you don't understand. Business is pretty much like that. So you really have to learn that world, how to do things. Things are done differently. So I think coming to the point that Charles made, that you may not have as many opportunities in Malawi to learn that from many people. The options that we have is your books, content like that, your podcasts, and of course I wanted to add that you really need good friends in that sense as well. So I had him, he had me. So you need that as well, because it can get lonely. If you don't, it's fine. Your books are your friends. So you can, those like literally, there were podcasts that we just sit down and listen to, because we needed to be hearing what these people are saying. And in the first place, like any language, is kind of hard to comprehend, to understand what they are saying. But you need to keep listening, because that's how you learn the language, right? They should be talking about it. So there are terms that they talk about in business. There's a way of thinking. There's a way of doing things. And most of those, to be honest with you, I wish there was just one word to say to someone that this is what it means to build yourself. But unfortunately, it's not like that. There are a number of things. So as they are talking, as these people are talking, there's a lot of things that you learn. There's a lot of aspects, concepts that you learn. And you need that. So think of it like, I think I talked about this other time. Think of it like a baby. They just have to keep eating balanced diet or good food, and growth will be happening. You don't say, today I want to grow the leg, then I need to eat groundnuts. So I'm just giving an example. It doesn't work like that. So all you need is just keep eating, and then growth will be happening, because that growth is needed. So like you said, most of the things that you are asking could also be in there. So there's general things you can be listening to there. You can now start getting specific depending on the business that you're doing. But you see, why I'm saying this is, I feel like we have a blank check, because we have, the world is, we have almost everything. So if you go on so for example, if you really want to do business, you need to start love listening to stuff. Podcasts, for example. You need a podcast application in your phone, whether it's Podbean, whether it's, I don't know what Apple is called, podcast. Start searching podcasts. You can go on GPT and search that, okay, this is the business I'm doing. What kind of podcast can I, now I think it's gotten easier. When we were starting with Charles, there was no AI. That's how old the thing is. So it was like, he talked about this series, The Men Who Built America. We literally entered the room, put the documentary, which we had to download because the data was also not enough. We couldn't stream. So you download it, and I think it's 4-part series. So if maybe part 1 would be like 1 hour, 30 minutes or something. So then you'd watch it, and then you just talk about it. Like, what? How can this guy, do this? Oh my God. And then you're thinking about your business. As you're doing that, there's a lot of things that are going on in your mind. Oh my God, I need to change this. I need to change this. Then you put the second one. Sometimes we just spend the whole day. The whole day, you can find a way of doing this. What I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of content, but I feel like with AI, you can also streamline a lot of things now. It can actually give you a plan. It can actually tell you, on Monday, listen to this. I just feel like it's gotten much easier. I wish I was, we're starting now. Because there's a lot of content out there. It can also be a problem, because then you can be overwhelmed. You don't know which one to start, which book to read. But with AI, you can also streamline it. Then you can have a plan for your books. You can have a plan for things that you're watching. Sometimes, start cutting some of the things, like, if you like music too much and you're driving, you're doing music, put a podcast. For 20 minutes, they'll talk about some nice things about business. You learn about it. There are podcasts that you listen to, Entre Leadership by Dave Ramsey. There's a lot of talk about business, and there's a lot of talk about family businesses. And you get to learn, just problems that they face in terms of family business. But all I'm trying to say is, those are now your friends. That's your tribe. And you literally, you feel like you know them. As they are talking, you relate. Such that one day when you meet them, you feel like you've known them for years. That's the kind of thing that you want to have. So I wanted to add that, Charles. Thanks.
Thank you for that, Rollins. Yeah. And look, I think also just to briefly talk about partnerships, it's important who you are partnering with. It matters. That can actually make or break your business. All right? You don't just go out to find people because they have a bit of capital and they say, be my partner in a business. You will fight. You will take each other to court. Then the business will fall. All right? So what you want to do, before you think about who your partner is, you need to define what are my values? What are the things that I value most? What is the thing that I want to achieve with this business? All right? Like, what exactly do I want? Do I want this business to go 10 years from now? Like, do I want it to outlive me? Does it matter who is driving this business? Should it be a family business? Or do I just want it to be a part of my legacy? Do you get? So, as you're thinking about that and as you're defining those values, you need to find someone who actually values things in the same way you do. Because you may partner someone who just wants to buy their next Mercedes Benz. You, on the other hand, you're thinking legacy. Things are not going to work because you keep fighting about the money, which means you want to take a risk, they want to protect it because they are looking at their Benz and you're about to take away their Benz. All right? So you need to partner the right people. So partnership is not wrong. Partnership actually helps because think about it this way. Let's say you had 4 people here that wanted to start the same kind of business. All right? Let's say cosmetics. Do you know each one of you will spend, let's say, 10. Do you know as you're spending your 10 millions, you'll be too small to compare to someone who has a 50 million and is doing it as one business. Such that if you just came together, put together your 10 tens and made a 40, that 40 would make a bigger impact and you grow faster than if even each one of you was actually making 10 million on their own. So it's very important who you partner. And yeah, like he's saying, one of the other important things is, look, when you start a business, it feels very lonely. Because it's not stories you can share easily. You know, if I meet someone who is employed and they are disgruntled, guess what? We can easily relate, right? I'll meet another person who is disgruntled at their work. We'll start talking about our boss. That boss, you are talking about your boss. You don't know what my boss is like. My boss is the worst of the devils. You see? There's a talking point. But in business, there's no such thing as not many people even understand what you're complaining about. You say, Ash, today business was hard. Someone will be like, you're complaining about your business? I have a boss. Just be grateful that you have a business, you see? So what you want to do is it's why these meetings also are important. Meet someone, talk to someone, ask them about ideas. Like when they were talking about maybe let's say introducing themselves and they talk about a business you have wanted to venture into, go talk to them. All right? Try and see if it's something that you can work together. Even if it doesn't mean that you work together, even just sharing ideas is good enough. Even just knowing that, you know what, when I face a challenge, I can go to Waliko, she will help me. Or if I face a challenge, Eunice will be able to talk to me. If I face a challenge, Chris will teach me how to make this triangle perfect. All right? Yeah. Like you actually need to have friends that are doing businesses. It's important for your mental health. All right? Okay, great. Debbie, you have, I think, online questions?
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Charles. We have a question from Harrison, and he says, I'm struggling with repeated business failures and inconsistent cash flow. What framework should I use to diagnose the problem and build a more stable business? Sorry, that question is from Ratisha.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's different from this one.
It's
though.
different, yeah.
All right, just read it again for me, please.
I'm struggling with repeated
yeah.
business failures and inconsistent cash flow. What framework should I use to diagnose the problem and build a more stable business?
What framework? I think you already have the framework. You just said you have inconsistent cash flow. You have diagnosed the problem. I'm joking. Okay, look, there are so many systems you can use for a business, okay? But I want to understand what you mean by inconsistent, because it can mean a lot of things. It can mean maybe you have seasonal sales, right? Where in 1 month you have 10 million, in another month you have 200,000, and another month 1 million, another month 5 million, you know? That's inconsistent cash flow. Any business does go through that. You can have businesses, yes, that just keep going like that. But not every business can keep going like that. You do have ups and downs in your business. All right? What's important is to manage your cash flow. Remember what I talked about yesterday. Manage your cash flow in such a way that you smoothen out that line. So that the ups don't mean you spend higher, and the lows don't mean you spend lower. Your expenditure must be in between, so that whether it's high or low, you are well covered. Does that make sense? So, it's why I'm saying I would want to understand first what inconsistency means, because it could literally just be, it's part of the problem. It's business as usual. Because business, yes, does have some good days, and then business does have some low days. You have to get used to it. What's important is being able to manage your cash flow. Being able to know that, okay, look, in a month, on average, maybe I make 10 million. But that 10 million sometimes can come month end. Sometimes it can come in the middle of the month. Like, whenever it comes, I just need to manage that cycle. Which is also why I talked about letting your money to rest a bit. Because this is where you make your decisions. Don't spend because you see your money. Spend because you have a plan for your expenditure. That's why budgeting is important. Okay? So in terms of framework, again, I'm answering because I don't have all the information, but if I was also to assume that maybe what you are facing is you just can't trace your cash, right? So you think it's actually inconsistent cash flow. But the problem may actually be you are just spending randomly and you are not able to trace where the money is going. That happens all the time. So what you want to do is try and create a system. You can do an Excel sheet-based system. Or there's so many free systems you can use, by the way, if you're a business person. There is Zoho that you can use. It comes for free. At least for most of the small businesses, you can still use. If you want to now go like to paid apps, there's all these other QuickBooks. In Malawi, people have developed apps also that you can be able to track all your business expenditure and income. But I would say, if you're just starting out, go to Excel. Yeah, that's something I also want to start helping people. Build like some Excel-based, systems that would just help you. You just input your numbers, it will tell you whether you are right or wrong, whether you're doing the right things or not. Help you to interpret those numbers. So I think to answer the question, or part of the question, because if you can just put it back so I can remember, but part of that question where you have inconsistent cash flow, you want to protect your cash. That's the most important thing. But before you can even protect your cash, you actually need to know how much cash you have. Be able to know, this is the cash that comes in. This is the cash I want to spend. Manage it. All right? Repeated business failures. You are not the first. I can guarantee you that repeated business failures, you are not the first. In fact, most likely, every time you are failing, you are getting better at it. Now, it doesn't mean you need to just continue failing. What I would want to understand is, what exactly is failure? When you say it's failed, do you mean the business has completely collapsed? Do you mean you are now all of a sudden making losses when you used to make profits? Or do you mean since the business started you have never made a profit before? Like, I would want to understand those things. Whether any of these do apply, there's certain questions you want to ask yourself. Okay? Question number 1, do I still have people that are willing to pay for the service or product I'm giving them? If the answer is yes, then think about how do you reach them. If the answer is no, then you want to try and change the product. Example, if let's say, we used to have these tricycles, right? Do you see them in town anymore? If I wanted to start a tricycle business today, do you think it will work? I don't think it will work. Because now the bicycles have taken, they have taken over. But back then, you didn't even think tricycles would ever go out of town of Lilongwe. All right? So, imagine me now wanting to try a tricycle business and consistently failing. Is the problem with my business or with me? It's with me. Because I'm trying to apply the thing in the wrong economy or in the wrong environment. And it will not work, no matter how much I force it. So you may want to think. So ask yourself, do I still have the people that are willing to pay for this product or service? If yes, do I market it well enough? Because the other problem with people is they say, oh, I'm not getting customers. Okay, how do you do your business? Oh, it's online. Okay, how often do you post? Once every 2 weeks. Okay, so once every 2 weeks, in this world of information, you want us to be scrolling and finding something that was posted 2 weeks ago. No, you're not serious. All right? Your own status you post every hour. So you want a business to be posted once every 2 weeks. No. So your marketing efforts can also be the problem. You need to become a better salesperson. Understand sales, which means you go read a book about sales 101, Understand what it means to make a sale, to sell a product, to sell a service, to market a product, to market a service. Okay? So before you can even call it a failure, I would want to diagnose from that perspective, like, ask yourself, is the product still viable? If the product is viable, maybe change it. Is the market still viable? If the market is not viable, maybe change it. Are you doing the right things? Or maybe the product is viable, but the way you're offering it is bad. All right? It's like maybe I should take green bananas and just put them along the road. How many people are going to buy? People don't have the patience to wait for a banana to turn yellow. Okay, how many of you will buy green bananas? Not a lot. Yellow bananas, on the other hand, you will buy instantly. But if I'm just focused on the green, guess what? I will think the business doesn't work. Why? Because I'm just focusing on the raw type of the product. Just change the product a bit, then all of a sudden you find yourself, you're in business. So ask yourself those kind of questions before you're calling it a failure. That's how I would respond to that. Yeah, you had 2 questions?
Yes, just a few more, actually.
Okay.
We'll now go to Harrison's question. He says, what advice would you give to young entrepreneurs from struggling single-parent families who are trying to grow a business while carrying family responsibilities like paying siblings' school fees and helping with daily needs, and ways they can grow from small to scale business? Ways they can use to grow from a small-scale business.
I love that question because I think it actually resonates a lot with us. Like a lot of people, including myself. I was raised by a single mom. So when I left school, and I'm first born in a family of 4, when I left college, guess what was on my mind? I need to find a job so that I can immediately help my mother to pay school fees for my next siblings. Do you get? Because my other sibling was in College of Med. Another one was just finishing secondary school, going into college. Another one was still in secondary school. And my mother is a secondary school teacher. In the government. Don't think like a high school. In the government. Or at least she retired. So I think this is a very real problem. And this is something that, whether you think about it as an entrepreneur or from you as a person with your salary, it actually affects you a lot. One thing I can help you with, or I can tell you, it will sound mean. You have to tell yourself, grow your business so that you can actually help your people. Otherwise, both of you are going to remain broke, unfortunately. And that's the It's called the cycle of poverty. And I'm telling you, that's what happens in Malawi. Not just in Malawi, Africa in general. You need someone to break that cycle. For you to break that cycle, you need some form of independence for a couple of years. What I mean by that is, okay, think with me for a minute. Let's assume you had 200,000 kwacha as profit from your business, right? And the school fees you need to pay for your sibling is like 300,000 kwacha, which is actually realistic right now. Can you tell me, even if I took all this money and paid for school fees, okay, when my business dies, where is the next school fees going to come from? Can you hear me? The challenge now becomes there's a lot of emotional blackmail that happens in the families. And I used to get that a lot. But it's why I'm saying you have to, for a moment, because what if your business just needs that year of focus to grow? And by that, I'm not saying run away from responsibilities, but you want to be able to say, look, talk to whoever it is. Look, right now, I can't afford it. If this business is going to help all of us, you have to wait. But you, as a person running that business, you actually have to make those tough choices and decisions. Okay, why do you think companies fire people in the midst of crisis? Do you think they're just ruthless? It's because they know for them to survive, they have to let go of people. So in your mind, you also have to think it that way, that look, if we are going to take everyone out of this problem, I actually have to win. And for you to win in that business, it will take more than just being nice. I have seen it because I've experienced it, and it took a lot of changing a certain type of way I was living. Because for a season, I would have to tell my mom, look, I'm sorry, I can't help. Or the best help I can do is so much. Because I needed to grow things. Because I needed to put my money. Okay, where do you think the money was coming from to put into this business? It came from the salary, because at that time I didn't have a business. And that time it wasn't like a big salary like that. No. So do you think if I was paying school fees for 3 people, I could have put money into the business? No. So sometimes we also accept responsibilities that are not necessarily supposed to be accepted. So by that I just mean you have to allow your business to grow as you're accepting those responsibilities. Which means there's a lot that you have to also, growing up also just means being able to have conversations with other people, right? Yeah. Sometimes they'll understand, sometimes they will not understand. But guess what? If you make it, who are the people that are going to be happy for you? It's them. If you fail, who are the people that are going to laugh at you? It's them. So, what choice do you have? Go win. So my advice, take the responsibility, but responsibly. All right? I hope that answers the question. Any comments from there? Yes, you want to add?
I want to add something. I think on top of what Charles has said, I want to share a few things, just real examples, between us. So, Charles has talked about his part, and I feel like my point touches on partnership as well. So the other angle that can help, is it Harrison? Is there's also a partnership that Charles touched on. So if you have the right partner, these things also help, because you have to look at it this way. So Charles is working, I'm not working, so that I can focus. Even that decision is based on the right partnership and understanding. So, for example, our farm is like 30 kilometers from here. I'm not working. I don't have transport money. So Charles has to pick me up at 4:30 a.m., drop me 30 k's away. Then he has to come back to work, then pick me up at 5. and you do this for like 2 years. So even that kind of understanding, for him to know that now I don't have enough money to put in the business, and I'm depending on him. That also helps, because I feel like Malawians and a lot of Africans like working alone in their silos. So she would rather work alone than partner with that one. But see what the two are losing out. Two is better than one. That's what the Bible says, right? So if Charles and I didn't work together, it means I should wait until I should do this thing alone. Do you understand? Then it means how slow, will I go to achieve, what we've achieved by today. So I feel like the other side of that question is also to look at, so if you have all those, if you've made that decision and you also partner with someone, you have to look at it that you are now pulling together the effort. And with that, you can now achieve a lot of things. I have an agriculture background. Charles is a finance person. Look at the different yet complementing expertise in the business. So there's a lot that we can gain from just partnering. Especially if you are very different, I think it works so well. Different from so many angles. It could be from your expertise, your field of studies, what your background. That is a strength in itself. You don't have to be similar, because then you bring on the table two different sides of the story. So I also feel like the partnership bit is very critical. And Charles touched on that. I think it is a very important aspect of the business. At some point we talked about it, that I believe business partnership is like marriage. So you don't just walk out and pick someone who is smiling at you and they like your product and they are your partner. Is that the way we get married? There's a lot of things that you have to look at before you pick your partner. It is the same thing, similar, right? No, similar, because you are when you're getting married is a serious thing. So the way we look at business is the same. And there was a time, so you have to understand, I'm working and pushing this, and I don't even have money to pay water board. And one day they came to my house to disconnect the water. Guess who I called? I said, Mr. Man, these guys are outside the gate. As you already know, there's no money in my pocket. Then he pays. Look, it's why I'm saying that the partnership is like super important. It can make or break it. But because it is such a strong thing, it's such a force if it works. But I think on the contrary, it can also break everything, such that it becomes a very important thing. But I feel like most people now feel like they don't want to do this, try this partnership, and you do it alone. But look, how slow can you go? So it depends on the business you want to do. If you want to build something big, you have to partner, unfortunately. You can't build a bank alone. There need to be, one small village bank that you're just lending to two people. But in that case, you need a lot of heads, a lot of expertise. There's a lot of people that you have to work with. So those are some of the things that you also have to be thinking about, especially if you want to build something big. You have to work with other people. You have to be open to partnerships. But there's a lot, I feel like, Charles, you should share at some point. I hope these meetings are going to continue, because we're just scratching this. We're not even scratching the surface in partnership. There's just too much to talk about. Thanks.
Okay, yeah, let's get maybe 2 or 3 more questions. Yes, you didn't speak yesterday. I want someone who didn't say anything yesterday.
Thank you so much. My name is Anna Katunga. I own a Kabaza business and I started selling clothes. As well as I've started rearing pigs with my friends as partnership. So the question is on partnership. Should all partners contribute equally in financial, or can laws and skills be accounted as contributions? That's the first question. The second one is, what systems or agreement can help partnerships grow successfully without damaging the friendship or the business itself? Thank you.
Great.
Just to say, we also had the exact same question online.
Awesome. All right. Yours is also similar. Okay, great. Let's address the partnership problem. So, there's a thing called social capital, or sweat capital, actually. Sweat capital is the word I was looking for. So, sweat capital is, let's say two people are entering a business, right? The one person has 10 million. The business, let's say, forget about 10 million. The business maybe needs 500,000. Then the one person says, I have 400,000. The other person says, I can only do 100 for now. But I have time. I can work. Because the reason the other one has more money is because they are working in someone's business. Remember? So one of the agreements you can make is to say, look, I'll put in the 400,000, but your 100,000, the extra amount must be worked for. Sweat capital. Which means what you're doing is, because obviously you can't put in as much money. I mean, if I'm not employed, right? If I'm not getting a salary, and the reason I'm starting the business is because I prefer the business route to making money. In the beginning of the business, sweat capital is all I can give. Which means I have to be able to say, look, let's agree how much the shareholding should be. Assuming I was to be paid a salary, 8 hours, every time I'm working, that is my contribution. What that means also is you have to hold each other accountable. Because if someone is putting in money, they also just can't freelide and say, oh, I put in all the money, then I can't do all the work, right? There have to be a proper division of labor and responsibilities. And those things have to be agreed on. But you know why the values aspect is important? Is because even without you having an agreement, or rather a signed agreement, if both of you actually have the same values or share values, this will be an easy discussion. It will be easy to understand. You see, the problem we have with shares or shareholding is we think the day we make 10 million, both of us should receive 50-50. Right? But Lawrence and I, when we started, we were like, look, okay, right now we are putting 10 million, for example. Let's say we make 20 million. Is that really what we want? To both of us, it was like, no. Because what we want is this thing to be able to make billions. So let's assume we've made billions. And by the time we've made billions, my share is 10%. Do you see how that almost irrelevant that discussion has become? Because 10% of the billions we have worked for now is money I can be comfortable with. But why this discussion becomes too tense in the beginning and almost breaks every partnership is because we are thinking about the money too much. Instead of solving the problem, you are spending too much time on what would be my own share. Do you get? So, my advice, yes, while at the back of your mind you do have that discussion in principle and be like, look, in as much as we're putting in the money, if you, at least the least we're expecting is you must put in the work. You must come because we can depend on you. But doesn't necessarily mean you, the people who are putting in the money, then you can go scot-free and be like, I've put in the money, then I can go to bed. No. Everyone must work. Because the idea depends on all of you working together. I don't know if that answers the question. But the values are important because it doesn't matter what agreement you have, if you have different values, that business, whether it will live 5 years or 10 years, it depends on the values. If one's values are short term, by the time they have achieved what they wanted to achieve with their business, that's it. If what they wanted to achieve with their business was to get married, the day they get married, they're out of that business. Right? Yeah. So you want to be able to sit down and share those values and be like, okay, what exactly do you see out of this business? Like, where do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself in 5, 10 years? That sort of thing. The other question was, please remind me. How to strengthen. I think in general you're talking about values as well. Because if you also can't find a partner whom you can't even talk every other day. The only thing you can talk about is business. And then it's a problem. You want to be able to talk about your life, your family, which means, think about it. If I say my partner is 70 years old, okay, what are we going to share? Even the values will be different. What he's thinking about is how much he will leave for his grandchildren. What I'm thinking about is, look, my children are not even born yet. What I want is to grow this thing to outlive me, which means that I'm looking at 30-year plans. My partner can't look at 30-year plans because lifespan has told him that you only have 5 years to live. Do you get? Yeah, so it's like, think about someone who is not married, is not even thinking about getting married, and has a partner with a married person who has children. And they want to start a business together. Unless there's a wisdom, there will be problems. Do you know why? The day a child gets sick and this person wants money, this person will not understand, why are you taking money from the business? They will even feel like you are using them. They will even start recording that, okay, the day I'll have children, I'll take money. So, you see, it's very important who you actually partner with because even to just understand each other's problems, yeah, is very, like, for instance, both of us are married, but our wives are not involved in the business. It's easy for us to discuss things like that. Talk behind our wives' back as to how they are not supportive. At least we can share that common interest, right? Yeah. But you have to have a friendship beyond this partnership. That's the only way to work. Okay? All right. Any other questions? Yes, Coop.
Hi everyone, my name is Gupera. I wanted to ask on the area, you've said that we can try. When do you know when to stop, especially when you have tried many times and you feel like enough is enough? And yeah, because I'm asking because sometimes it's like you try, if the economy is changing, that means even the business aspect, what works now, like we have AI, many people never paid focus, never gave it more focus. A lot of jobs have been lost, a lot of business have been lost. Like you can hire a marketing or a salesperson, but now we have Facebook, Instagram, and all that, meaning that you are eliminating the marketing person. Actually, you can even do better without the marketing cutting cost. Another thing is, maybe it might not sound Christian. Good thing Pastor said that it's a business meeting. People do steal ideas, but is it wrong to now understand other financial projection based on your research? And for example, you're doing your financial analysis, because most of the Malawian businesses, we actually look at what works. For example, you guys are doing banana business farming. Now, maybe half of this room will be thinking of, let me do banana business farming. And kindly, we can partner and say, you be our mentors already. You have given an example of the sack bags which you bought. You have gone through the trend of the mistakes which you have made. eliminating us not to face the same mistake? Would you feel like it's a betrayal or just asking? But I'm now asking. But now I'm asking in an aspect where, for example, I have done several research, a person who built a car. But now you can see that we have Nissan, Bugatti, all that. But now maybe you're looking at, you have an idea when you can improve that idea and make it better, like the way the electric car came in, based on the economy and the efficiency it comes in with. So I wanted to ask in those areas, do you play dirty when you are trying to build a business? Have you done it before? Or, yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Thanks, Kupira. I love those questions because they are very realistic, right? Let's not pretend like some of those things can't happen. Firstly, about when to give up. I think as an entrepreneur, there's no such thing as a give up. If anything, it's just change in strategy, or change in the type of business, or change in, you have to be able to pivot, like move from this place to that place. But there's no such thing as giving up. If you look at all the people that have actually tried businesses, they never give up. That word doesn't exist in their vocabulary. So the only thing you're doing is to be like, look, maybe I tried it this way, let me try it another way. Until you try it 1,000,000 times, there's no such thing as giving up. All right? So yes, maybe over time you can realize that, look, one of the reasons maybe this thing is not working is because it just won't work in Malawi. Go try something that will work in Malawi. Doesn't mean you have given up. You've just switched strategy. But you're still a business person. Does that make sense? So I think for a lot of people, when they say, I've tried, I've given up, the giving up is literally, let me just go back to applying for jobs. All right? For maybe what he said is true, that business is not for everyone. Maybe that other person is me. So, no, don't give up. Yeah, because you never know when it's going to work. Try and pivot. Try and change the idea. Try and try something else. Because I'm telling you, if you just go read the many stories of people, the books I've read, so many times people have tried to fail. The people that discovered lights, a bulb, Thomas Edison, tried many times, failed many times. Even the geniuses of geniuses like Albert Einstein, as you know, tried many ideas and failed them many times. But do you know the only time it counts as you failed is the day you stop. If you keep trying, you haven't failed yet. You are trying. All right? Have we always been above board? Or maybe the question was, have we always played clean or have we played dirty before? I don't know what you mean by playing dirty, but in terms of stealing ideas, we have stolen many ideas. There's nothing we have done which is genuine and legitimately original. Let me tell you something we do. Almost every year, we go to another banana farm to steal ideas. Depot, and we steal them. Mercilessly. In fact, the people invite us to come and steal their ideas. Last year we were in Zambia. The other year, South Africa, we go like many times. We visit a 40-hectare farm, a 150-hectare farm. Do you know the advantage of being in Malawi? People actually just don't think you won't be able to do it. So they will even tell you anything and everything. Because they're like, when you tell them I'm from Malawi, I want to come learn. Really? Come. Because they just don't think you can usurp them. Now, if all of us here wanted to steal each other's ideas, do you know one thing? It's like what I was telling Chris yesterday about his samosa business. There's no one who can just come and say, I want to steal your business idea. And then 3 months later, they will actually steal it. You mean someone steal 10 years of experience in 3 months? I don't think it's possible. Even if I wanted to share, why do people think people write books? They write books because the amount of volume of information, the volume of information they have accumulated over years, they just can't say it at once. So they want to try and write some of it in a book. But guess what? Do you know even if you finish a book, you haven't understood even 10% of the book? By the time you are done with page 300, you have forgotten what was on page 20. So are you telling me an idea that someone has worked on to perfect, you can just steal and implement? No, it doesn't work like that. The advantage also in Malawi is there's not like a lot of ideas, or rather businesses, such that even if we did the same business, what's wrong with that? Okay, if for instance right now 10 more banks came, isn't that a good problem to have? I think so. If we had 10 more banana farms, I think it's a good problem to have, because right now we're importing bananas from Tanzania. You just need to be ready for the disappointment. Disappointments will come. Are you ready to put in the money? Yeah. So, to answer your question, we don't play data in business like that. We go to learn. All right. So, I'm sure you're playing data maybe may have meant like snooping around just to try and steal something so that you can use it for your own business. Pardon? Yeah. No, but even if you did that, that's what I'm saying. The lessons themselves, numbers don't tell the whole story. Okay, even if I told you here our financial projections without sharing this story we have shared, do you think you can steal any of it? No. Yeah, so it's not as simple as, oh, I got all the projections, unless maybe it's an app and you steal the code. Maybe. But even if you store the code but you don't know how to build it, of what use is it going to be? Right? Yeah. So I think you shouldn't be afraid to go learn from people. You know the easiest way? Go ask them. Why not just go and ask them? Why should you have to steal anything? Go ask for permission to use the thing. You know this, on that poster, the business poster, they start, build, grow. I stole it without permission. I stole the thing without permission. Later on, I went to the person. I was like, look, in case you see this, know that I have stolen without your permission. You can tell anyone. But you see, because of the friendship we've built, all right? But it's what I'm saying, that you can literally just go ask, why do you have to steal anything? You'll be amazed. One time we went to meet Napoleon Zombe. We literally just woke up, went to his house, and said, we want to meet you, sir. He was amazed because all we were going to meet, we didn't ask for money. He was surprised. Because every time people go to meet him, they're asking for money. And this business person was just amazed that, do you know, we thought we were just going to meet him for 2 hours. We went there like at 8 a.m. Guess what time we went back home? 5 p.m. He took us to this place that he has in Doha, that hotel. At that time, he had just started it. This is not the time when it was even launched. He went, showed us, told us the things he wants to do, such that when we see them now, we're like, wow, this guy had the vision. But he was free. He told us all these things. People are like that. You'll be surprised. But you see, the problem is, every time you book a meeting to meet someone, you don't even have questions. All you're asking for, the only question is, sir, can you give us 10 million capital? It's wrong. All right? So I don't think even the people that played it, now, at the big level, yeah, oh yes, there's dirty politics and proper games that can be played. At our small scale, let's just learn from each other. All right? Great. Maybe one more question. Okay, 2 more. V could be the last one. Let's start with, who is asking there? Oh, there's no one. Okay, give it to Vicky then.
Thank you very much. My question, I think it's also relating to, I don't know if it's about stealing ideas, but about running a business or running businesses in the same space. Like, let's say I'm close to church people, like where you're sort of you're sort of saying, all my customers are going to be like maybe church people, or my customers are going to be people that I work with, depending on where you want to run the business. And then you also have like similar businesses that also want to operate in the same space. Like, how do you navigate through that without really feeling like, oh, maybe, without feeling like, I feel like people are buying a lot from the other people or from the other businesses and not buying from me, or feeling like, what am I not doing right? That feeling of frustration, because these are like the people that you're thinking, oh, this is where my money is going to come from, but then it's not happening.
Okay. That's a good one as well. Look, it's interestingly, in functional economies, do you know they put like businesses together? What I mean by functional is our economy is not really very functional in the normal way. So you have markets that are fragmented, disaggregated, like all over the place. But if you go, for instance, to, let's say, a country like, I don't know if I understood your question well, so you can correct me if I'm not answering the right way. Let's say in South Africa, good example. If you've ever traveled there, there's Oriental Plaza. In Oriental Plaza, you find all these Indians that are selling pretty much, where they're selling curtains is a whole building, like a whole area. Curtains, 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 curtains. Do you know one of the reasons you do those things? Number one, it's very easy to aggregate customers, such that in spaces like that, all of you are going to be able to make money. Because it's easy, no one now has to market anything. Because people just know that this is where we get curtains. Now, the issue there is about who has the better curtains, who produces the right quality, and who is a better salesman. Things that you can now naturally compete on. So now, in terms of feeling bad, let's say in a scenario where you have this arrangement, one of the reasons you feel bad is because you are not used to that kind of situation. So why I'm pointing that out is for you to realize that it's very unnatural. Because in the natural way, in the normal way, you must actually have everything in the same place. So why do you have shopping malls in the big countries? Like everyone's selling clothes, everyone's selling food. Like the food section is in one place. Because people have choices. People like what they like. So you can build your customer base. You don't have to feel bad about the other person. Why? It means you just need to work on what should I work on so that people can actually like my thing. I love to drink coffee, for instance, right? Do you know how many coffee brands are out there? Too many. But it is my choice to actually go for the coffee I like. Tea is the same thing. Others like Kericho Gold. Others like Chombe. You won't find Chombe thinking, why are you not buying from me? Because taste buds would determine what people will like. Right? Fashion is the same thing. Makeup is the same. Cosmetics, even more. People like what they like. If you ask your girlfriends, why do you like this over that? It won't even make sense. There's no science to it. Right? Because people like what they like. So I don't think you need to feel bad about it. Just work on your product. Make it work. Find the right customers for you. What it means is you just haven't identified the right customers yet. So make your product in such a way that people just like it for what they like it for. I don't know if that answers the question. All right, great. It's 8:20. You've been a great audience. Please clap hands. So this was a first of its kind. And we are really grateful that you've come, you've patronized us, you've believed in us, or in me. So what I'm hoping is we can have more and more of these sessions, and some that are even more targeted at solving the kind of problem you are dealing with. I know right now what we've done is to just literally answer generally about all the questions. But what we want to do is to try and create some sort of master classes, so that when you talk about partnerships, what are the things that you should really work on to make sure that you get the right partner? When you talk about cash flow management, let's work through it, because people don't even know how to trace their cash, Yeah, so we're going to have some of these. We'll try and work out, and then you're obviously going to hear from us when next we have it. Otherwise, it's been great to talk to you and chat with you. Your questions were amazing. What I would love is if you can, please remember the email address, if you can put it, send more questions, because then that will inform what sort of curriculum to start with, like what exactly can we start talking about in depth. I would want to be able to know that. All right. I hope you've had a lovely evening and you've been a great company, like I said. By the way, this is Beacon House Church. So tomorrow we have a service. I'm inviting you. I'm a member of this church. I'm not forcing you to come, but I'm inviting you. It's a nice church. One of the people, or rather the biggest mentor that has been to me for the business, these things I'm talking to you about, is my pastor. You want to meet him. I'm telling you, he's amazing. So I hope I'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Service starts at 6. We finish at 8. And then on Sunday, we start at 8:30. We finish at 10:30. You are more than welcome. All right? Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you for coming.
There's tea downstairs, so please don't be quick to leave. Have some tea, have some chats, and network. Tell us what business you do,